I now welcome Mr. Gregory Camejo, Group Human Resources and Corporate Services Manager of CCN Group of Companies. He is also an active member of the Human Resource Management Association of Trinidad and Tobago.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here at the Arthur Lockjaw Graduate School of Business to address such a distinguished audience. Some of you have come here this evening to get some insight or inspiration as you try to make an important decision which involves your career. Some of you may be at a crossroads in your life and you're seeking that one piece of information which can make all the difference to you and or your family. This evening, what I'm going to share with you is some issues attached to one of the most important topics which face corporations and countries, and that is the impact of human resource development on globalization, or vice versa, the impact of globalization on human resource development. What is globalization? Often at universities, in corporate boardrooms, in parliament, in the media, we hear this word used several times. We attach our own meaning, and the word, if you do an internet search, you'll get many meanings. As a human resource professional, however, I want to define globalization for you as the shrinkage of the world by reducing the impact on the borders of time and space while expanding the flow of ideas, energy, innovation, and commerce. By defining globalization in this way, that way I could understand what I need to do to leverage the dynamic forces behind globalization to prepare my team and myself for human resource development. The world we live in now is based increasingly on rapid communication, technology, the emergence of a new global culture, the rise in global production and a distribution system like no one has seen before, and of course a new division of labor. And now with an expansion in the travel network, we can still enjoy face-to-face experience in a matter of hours. Life is faster. Let me say that this is significant to note as we try to provide training, implement performance management systems, find innovative ways to recruit, and most importantly, manage our talent to win. There are many discussions we can have related to globalization, but this evening, let us focus on the elements that are relevant to this event, which is HR. Now, I want to quote from one of my favorite articles on globalization, which was written by Alan Bird and Michael Stevens in 2003. This article gave me a prototype of the new global person, which is critical for us in HR. And as a professional, we have to understand what appeals to the human spirit, what motivates him or her in this new world, what motivates them to learn. We have to understand what factors will allow a person to perform beyond their expectations and yours. We have to understand what training, compensation, reward systems will attract and excite talent in a way that makes us number one. This is a difficult task if we do not know who we are trying to serve. This article speaks of a new culture which has been impacted upon by this Americanization of several nations, but ultimately to begin to emerge a new social pact. So I speak of things like one language. We see a movement towards one language, standardization across the globe in terms of speaking the same language, same symbols, which allows for a creation of powerful exchange of ideas and a flow of information never seen before. The story of the Tower of Babel reminds us how the division of the world is based on language. And now as we try to reverse the effects of this event, we seem to be making strides. One taste. We all have a common taste now. So I will use the example of Coca-Cola. You could get Coca-Cola anywhere in the world. You have an expectation. We now know this is our symbol for what quenches our thirst, some of us. There's no one food. We see that groceries around the world sell common foods. If you look at carts around the world, we will see, if you look at a cart in England or America, we will see similar items so that we are moving towards one food, one car. We all have now similar tastes in cars around the world. We have of course, in Trinidad, the foreign use market. All these things show that the world is actually now becoming homogeneous in taste and one worldview. We have CNN, we have BBC, and we have TV6. We all have internationally now a common political stance. Something happens in one part of the world, and immediately we know what is happening. So that what I'm trying to show here is that as we go through the process of globalization, although we are HR professionals, we have to understand the environment in terms of what is coming together. What do people expect? The person that we interact with now has, no matter which part of the world they come from, a common mindset. So these things tend to challenge us. Now, we heard in the presentation before, which was very eventful, the effect of the one world scenario, the transfer of labor from one region to another. And the reason why this could happen so seamlessly is because of these social factors that we tend to overlook, but they're very important for us. But what do the members of the world look like? What do these new world members look like? They're very highly educated. We are very highly educated. We're very connected, self-confident, pragmatic, not afraid of boundaries or culture anymore, democratic, individualistic but inclusive, flexible and open, and begin from a position of trust. Now, one of the things when you look at this profile of a global person, you have to attach to this now the expectations in dealing with the global person. We are all now pursuing more education. As I said before with the Facebook and the Twitter, and we're now connected. There's an increasing confidence in the personalities you deal with. There's a different mindset, it's a pragmatic one, and which Atlantic Energy now knows, people are no longer afraid of boundaries or culture. One of the things that prevented people before was the whole idea of culture shock, the whole idea of ethnocentrism. This is now being reduced because somebody can now prepare themselves before they enter into your market. They know about Carnival when they're coming here. Or when you are going to Asia, you know about the food, you know about the culture. You go through courses like that, you understand, so that you're not afraid to explore boundaries. So the boundaries of the world are falling. We have an increase in economic integration like CARICOM. Your companies now will then ask you to recruit the best, establish a worldwide system, and they will try to create a global appeal for their goods and services and increase awareness through their executive structure. So we have to move away from colonial HR and move towards global HR, because there's an increasing concern that multinationals gain from the resources of the home country, which has developed an environment of distrust between the corporations and nations. So now we tell them it's no longer a free ride. Right? This means that corporations often have to build goodwill among nations. So that in your role, it's not only just about transfer of knowledge, but it's about building goodwill. The challenge with multinationals will be the fact that their management may be inexperienced in operating in overseas markets, which has happened. Somebody is very good in their domestic market from a first world nation, and they're sent to a third world or to another nation. And they're good in the first world environment, but they weren't good in the overseas market.